What's up, everyone? Welcome to an unprecedented Sunday evening edition of In the Loop. Alex Lupica here, joined by my older brother, Chris. Big weekend for him on the NYC club scene, so cut him a little slack tonight. And my younger brother, Zach. Big day for him at work on this Sunday, but Zach's a red light performer, so I wouldn't worry. Guys, when we signed off on Thursday, we admitted that the show we had just recorded would probably be relevant for about a day. That turned out to be the case. About 12 hours later, SI posts the letter, and the world goes wild. So I figured with so many like-minded talking heads out there, sports fans needed three brothers they've never heard of chopping this thing up. So, C-Loop, first thoughts when you read the letter?
I thought it was really cool. I've been critical of LeBron in the past, and I didn't like the way he did it the first time, but the letter came off as really authentic, somebody who really cares about where he's from, and someone who willing to admit his mistakes, and I think someone who I'm ready to root for again.
Zach, you've been rooting for him for some time. Is it just that much bigger fandom now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I read the letter and almost brought a tear to my eye. Polar opposite of 4 years ago. Never imagined this big of a turnaround for him in the public eye. Really excited. Love the Anderson Varejao shout out to his boy. Yeah, and overall, I mean, I think he did a great job, and everybody's pretty much on board with him now.
I don't think anyone in this room is going to disagree about this. I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in sports. Maybe the coolest. I agree with Zach. I got a little emotional reading it. You know, you invest so hard in sports, and so much of it is about the bad, and this was just a really, really cool thing for the best athlete on the planet to do.
One thing that I thought that resonated really well with me, and I think people that I talk to, whether or not they're sports fans, him talking about Miami and the experience, and it kind of like going to college for a lot of other kids. I mean, this is a kid who grew up in Akron. He played high school basketball at home. He was drafted by the Cavs. He never left that area of Ohio. I mean, obviously he had traveled and, things like that, but him comparing it to that for me was kind of I had never thought about it like that. And when you do sometimes we don't look at these people as peers or as other individuals,
especially a guy like LeBron.
Yeah, because he lives a very different life. But when he frames it in that way, I think about it. I say, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. That resonated with me quite a bit.
Yeah, Zach, I think that piece of it resonates most with people our age. Like, we are just out of college,
who have been to college and know what that experience means. Exactly.
Like, this is a 29-year-old guy. When he left for Miami, he was 25. He'd spent his whole life in Northeast Ohio, which I can't imagine is a heck of a good time a lot of the time. And he wanted to go to South Beach and win a couple titles with some of his friends.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like you said, he's there his whole life, never left. He was in a city that hadn't won in 40 years, now it's 50. All the pressure was on him. He was their best chance to win a title. They never put any good players around him. And he just decided, I think, that he needed to go somewhere else and find some titles, and he did, and now he's back.
And, okay, so here's my question, because I feel like basically most sports fans at this point are on board with LeBron. And if you're not, I really don't want to hear from you. Except for the people in Miami, I feel like most people...
I think what you mean is, generally speaking, I'm still going to root for the Knicks when they play the Cavs.
Right.
Right.
But you're done rooting against LeBron.
I'm done rooting for him to fail,
And even people in Miami kind of took it well, like Pat Riley, Mickey Aronson, Dwayne Wade. They all realized that this is a great thing for everyone and that he had to do it kind of. And it was pretty much the polar opposite of how the reaction was in Cleveland with the whole Dan Gilbert letter. I thought everybody handled it really well, and even the fans in Miami pretty much understand that he came and he gave him 4 better years than they could have ever imagined. And now he's got to do what he's got to do.
And Z-Loop, you love LeBron, but whether you choose to admit it or not, in 2010 when they were playing the Mavericks in the finals, you rooted pretty hard against him. I remember a lot of, well, sweet, this guy's just too good. He's ruining basketball, blah, blah, blah. So you got to the LeBron forgiveness stage a little earlier than the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that note about the me rooting for the Mavs in the breakdown for the show, I was kind of upset about it.
Dude, you're not supposed to let them know that was a note. It's supposed to be conversational.
Didn't really like that, but yeah, I guess I kind of felt that.
But you're not denying it.
I always rooted for LeBron when he's on the Cavs, and it kind of, I'm not gonna say broke my heart when he left, but it was I thought it was the wrong move. It upset me at the time. I wish he had stayed in Cleveland. And then when he went to Miami, that first year was just tough to root for them after that whole parade and everything like that. But then after, I just started rooting for him again because he's my guy, and I forgave him.
You did.
I think everyone has their own process here. I never really rooted for the Heat. I grew up a Knicks fan. I wasn't going to root for the Heat. I didn't really like the way that LeBron handled things, but I got to a point where I could appreciate him as a basketball player without thinking too much through the prism of the decision, especially 2013, 2014. I could appreciate greatness on the court without being jaded by the fact that, yes, the decision bothered me. Yes, I wanted to see him continue in Cleveland, but now I feel even more comfortable. I'll be rooting for him. I certainly won't be rooting against him.
Yeah, and I think, like, Chris, we've talked about, it's so funny how the way he handled it last time was so universally disapproved of, and the way he handled it this time was so universally applauded. Like, I don't know. It seems like, is he getting different advice? He nailed it.
I think public relations and the way that those work, you learn a lot from experience. And I always used to think when this occurred, there had to be someone in the room, whether it's Maverick Carter.
There's always someone in the room, right?
And here's the other thing about LeBron's entourage. In 2010, those guys weren't who they are now. A guy like Maverick Carter, a lot of experience in sports, Worldwide West. I mean, he's almost grown up with this entourage of powerful sports figures. And just as much as he's learned, I think, they've probably learned too. Because he figured out that was the wrong way to do it. And this time he did it totally right. Public relations isn't always rocket science. I think he showed it this time.
And also, like you said about the point of him going to Miami, and it was like a college experience for him, I think that he really did grow up during that time. I mean, if you look at him when he's on the stage during the decision, he looks so nervous and uncomfortable, and that just, I don't think, was him. And now he left and he grew up and he realized what he did was wrong. And I think that started the year after the decision when he finally apologized to Cleveland about it and said that he did it the wrong way, and now he finally made up for it.
And he admitted that he would still do it if given the chance. Obviously, he would change the way he did.
You have to be very. I mean, I think looking back on his 4 years, from a basketball standpoint, you have to be incredibly pleased with what he accomplished down there.
Yeah, I mean, 2 titles, 4 trips to the finals. So the basketball piece of it, Zach, is. Do you think this Cavs team right now, as constructed with LeBron, is as good as the Heat were in 2010? Like, basically, when the Big Three formed in Miami, people just kind of assumed they were going to win a title, and they didn't even win a title.
No, I don't think this Cavs team is as good as them, just because CB and Wade back then were in their prime, and they had a really good team, and they blew it in the finals, and LeBron kind of disappeared. But I also think about how everybody's now saying, because LeBron says in his essay that, you can't expect to win right now. And I just am not really buying that. I mean, I think they're going to win the East. And then you're in the finals if they win the East, and then anything can happen. So the whole thing, we're going to need 3 or 4 years. I'm not really buying.
He's tempering expectations, and he should.
Right.
No one's won anything on that team.
Like we said, he learned a lot from the last time when he said not 6, not 7.
What do you think about their squad?
Well, I think that this team, to expect them to compete for an Eastern Conference championship is not unrealistic, because when you have LeBron James, you're always going to be in that conversation. But you look at what's around him, and if they trade for Kevin Love, that's a different piece of this. Kyrie Irving's as great as he is, and as much potential and as fun of a player to watch as he is, he's never gotten his team to the playoffs in his entire career. Dion Waiters, we don't know what he is as a player. I mean, he appears to be somebody who fights a lot with Kyrie and really likes to shoot. Varejao is their most experienced player. Andrew Wiggins, it wasn't even the best player on his college team, as much potential as he has. There are a lot of guys with a lot of potential, but there's a reason why the Heat and the Spurs, they're the 2 oldest teams in the league, and they played in the finals last year. These guys are between 19 and 23. That's his supporting cast.
Zach, I don't like Wiggins, and you do a little bit.
Well, yeah, I like him. I mean, I think he's going to be good. I think he's already at his position one of the best defenders in the league.
That's what people like about him.
I think playing with LeBron is going to do unbelievable things for him. And also, the Eastern Conference is so weak. Like, right now they're saying that the 4 seed is projected to be the Wizards. The Bulls are going to be good, but you're still relying on a Derrick Rose who's torn ACLs in back-to-back years. The Pacers don't scare me, and if you're asking me, the Cavs are the favorites in the East.
Yeah. Chris, you got to figure that, like, that Waiters, Kyrie nonsense that gets a lot of talk, does that just get squashed when LeBron walks in the room? It's like, stop the nonsense. The king is here.
Well, you have to start playing. You have to start playing like someone who doesn't just have potential anymore.
Behaving that way, too.
It's a big deal to go from this person has potential to expectations of an Eastern Conference championship because it places a totally different level of pressure on you, which is, I think, a big thing that the Pacers had to deal with this year. You look at Paul George. All of a sudden, it wasn't just, well, he's a really nice player. It was, we expect him to get 25 a night. We expect him to go up against LeBron and play really well. So it's going to be a huge transition for this team, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some growing pains this regular season, especially.
Yeah, I mean, you saw growing pains in Miami, and that team had three of the 6 or 7 best players in the league all in their prime.
You also can't discount what's going on at the top here. You have a first-year coach and a first-year general manager. Now, you can say Spoelstra was a first-year coach, but you still had the roster-building Pat Riley, who had as much experience you could possibly have.
Zach, how short of a leash does David Blatt have?
I mean, you could say it's a short leash, but I just don't envision any way that they start off really bad or anything like that, get down. Because
he's just at the height of his powers. Like, they're going to be good.
Yeah, he's too good. He's too good.
I think a great thing about Miami, though, is everyone knew exactly what their role was on that team, and that's so important for basketball. And these guys are going to have to figure that out. Who's doing what's expected from me on a nightly basis, and it's going to be tough. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the Eastern Conference, but this also gives other teams a lot of hope, which I think is the other piece of this that's very interesting.
They can't be done yet, right? They need a guy, first of all, who can knock down threes. So I don't know if it's Mike Miller or Ray Allen or, big move for Kevin Love. I think they need more.
Yeah, I see them still getting Mike Miller or Ray Allen. And I also think that's a big part of Wiggins' game that is going to need to be good for him to really contribute to this team is his three-point shooting. But I also like Tristan Thompson. I think he's a good big man. I don't know if him and Anderson Varejao can be your top 2 big men. I also am going to go out on a limb, and you guys are probably going to shut me down and say I think Anthony Bennett could have a nice year, bounce back year. He's looked pretty good in summer league.
Ew.
Anytime someone's looked really good at summer league,
Yeah, I
don't know. I mean, he put it this way: it can't get any worse for him than it did last year.
And he got his numbers in the second half. Obviously, were bad still, but he progressed throughout the year. He's gotten in better shape. I think he's going to have a good year. Wait, also, one other point about this. Did you hear that he might be wearing number 32 in Cleveland, LeBron?
Who's reporting that? Are you reporting that?
There was some Cleveland reporter who tweeted that, and I guess he wore 32 at St. Vincent St. Mary's his freshman year.
Wow.
And that's what they think he's going to do.
This is like one of the only unknowns left in this whole process. Like, we're clinging to the unknowns. Everything is pretty much, been announced. All the chips have fallen. And now we're like, what number is he going to wear? Give us a scoop.
Yeah.
Give us a scoop on his number. I think anything he chooses will be fresh, Yeah,
you think those jerseys are going to sell well?
Yeah, that's good for everyone.
Good for everyone. Let's talk about the ripple effect, right?
Okay.
So, who comes out of this and feels like we now have a better chance than we used to because of the Heat? Let's be honest, we're a juggernaut who you could pencil in for the finals. And while Zach's saying he thinks Cleveland will be in the finals, I think it's a lot more of a wide open race, even in a weakened Eastern Conference.
Yeah, there are good teams in the East that are looking at the Eastern Conference, now with a little bit more optimism. And, Chris, let's spin it towards New York because this is an ESPN New York podcast. You're the Knicks fan. Melo signs. Are you feeling pretty good right now, at least a little better than you have in a while about your Knicks?
I feel really good about signing Carmelo Anthony. I mean, the Knicks were in a position where it's not like they had cap room and they could have signed anyone. They had an opportunity to max out a guy that they already had, Carmelo. They did that. I think that they've put some interesting young pieces around him next year that we can kind of gauge and try to, moving forward, see what we have with this team, because when Amari Stoudemire's money and Andrea Bargnani's money come off the books, they're going to have a ton of roster flexibility. I don't think that they look at next year as a real opportunity to do anything, but the next season, we should be looking at them as a contender in the East, period.
I think that we talked about this in the last episode, that in the NBA now, I think it's unfortunate for the Knicks that the season can be won in the offseason. And next year, there's not much they can do. I think the Knicks need to just bank on getting KD in 2016, or I don't really see how they're going to turn into a powerhouse.
That's my thing. And we were arguing about this morning in the kitchen over some Eggs Benedict, Chris.
Gorgeous Eggs Benedict. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. You talk about how it kind of annoys you sometimes when people look at sports through the prism, like, okay, that move isn't going to win us a championship, so what's the point? Like, getting Melo, it's making them better, but they're not winning a championship without KD. That's my thing.
I agree with you, but I would argue, what do you want them to do? They don't have money. They unfortunately, they're $25 million committed to Amare. It wasn't cap space. They couldn't have if it wasn't Melo, then you would have just been moving forward with the team as is without Carmelo Anthony. So there are moves that maybe, they don't put us over the top and make us a championship team, but first of all, they make them watchable next year, which is important in New York City.
Yeah.
They can't do what the Sixers did and just blow it up. It's just not going to happen in New York, so maybe it's not a championship move, but it sure makes them better, and it at least puts them in the conversation.
But next offseason, you can't go get Rondo or Aldridge. That's the thing. You got to wait and see what happens with Durant.
Long term, the Knicks need to put themselves in a position in 2016 to be able to acquire Kevin Durant. And next offseason, we'll be able to see via what they do whether or not that's what they have in mind.
And Zach took a pretty long curtain call about his LeBron call and your love call. He just winked at me gorgeously. I did say, episode 2, that I think a best case for Melo would be to come back to the Knicks, take more money than he could get anywhere else, but maybe a little bit less, and give them a little flexibility to add something this offseason.
And he's taking less, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to take a little bit
like
less.
$1.5 million a year.
Just a little bit less, but enough that it's a good faith, a little bit less. But, yeah, it gives you – I'm sure that there's someone crunching numbers who says this is – whatever the figure is, it's a
this could help them.
It is a relevant figure. I guarantee you they didn't just pick like $11 million out of a hat.
Do you think he came out a little too strong with the my heart's in New York? I was never – it's like, well, you did kind of test the waters a little bit. Don't act like
it was fine with me, everything he said. I mean, I think that he's the New York's guy right now, and he has to be. And without him, like Chris said, they were going to be a lottery team. And he's the face of the franchise, and he wanted to reach out to the fans, which I respected. And I also think in the midst of all this LeBron stuff, that maybe it had a little effect on it too.
Carmelo gets a really tough deal around here, and it's because he grew up as a peer and a classmate of LeBron James. And he's always looked at against LeBron James and Kevin Durant, which really isn't fair to him as a player if you think about it, because he's not – I don't think anyone wants to sit here and say he's on that level. He's a great player and one of the best offensive talents in the NBA and not replaceable. So I always struggle with people saying you can't win with Carmelo Anthony. Well, let's see. They said that about Paul Pierce for a long time in Boston. So – and then you surround him with the right supporting cast, and you get the best out of him. I think that's possible with this guy.
I think Melo is the second best player on the best team in the league. That's how I see him. Like, I think he should be Scottie Pippen to someone's Jordan. I think if he's your second option, you're winning the title.
I think even if it's a 1A, 1B situation. Yeah, but he's never had that his entire career.
No, and you're right. He does get unfairly compared to LeBron.
And it's because he's here. I mean, it's very bright lights here.
See, that's why I thought that. I mean, I understand the money was way more, but I thought that Chicago was just such a perfect fit for him, and that they had a legitimate chance to win if he went there. They need a scorer. They need his position. They have a good roster. But I understand that he wanted to stay in New York, and he took the money. But until you win in the NBA, they're going to say that about you. He is one of the elite players in the league. Maybe he's not that top tier 1 and 2, but he's definitely in that top, 5 to 7, however you want to look at him.
So I think another interesting piece to this, Chris, is – I think the East-West power balance has come front and center this offseason. You look at some of the little things that have happened since the last podcast. You got Bosh staying in Miami. You got Deng going to Miami. You got Paul Pierce staying in the East, going to Washington. You got Powell going to the Bulls. Is no one ever going to sign in the West again? I mean, and I would understand it. The East is terrible. And, that's got to be going through these guys' minds.
You get a lot more nights off when you play in the Eastern Conference than when you do in the Western Conference. I mean, I think realistically there's 7 or 8 Western Conference teams who would feel comfortable that they were the best team in the Eastern Conference next year. So it'll be interesting. I think it's so much harder to win there just because getting through the playoffs in the West is brutal. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, depending on how the next year or two goes, guys that are out in the West saying, all right, I'd rather take my chances in the East and maybe take a little less money and not have to bring it every single night and maybe have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see in the next couple of years guys flocking to the East. I mean, if you look at the Western Conference, the Spurs had to play the Mavs in the first round, and the Mavs took them 7. And in the East, the Heat didn't have to play a real series until they played the Pacers, who would be one of those bottom teams in the Western Conference playoffs.
And eventually we'll just balance it back out.
It always has.
It will.
Right?
Because guys are going to realize, why go to the West?
Well, the other piece of it is that the lottery will start to replenish the East if the teams are so bad in the Eastern Conference.
We're getting very existential right now.
Right, you look at Wiggins and Parker and Joel Embiid. The top 3 picks are all coming East. If that continues to happen like that, there will be star quality coming out of the lottery.
Yeah. I mean, it's been sweet. It's been a sweet offseason. And now it's pretty much over. It's kind of sad.
I think it is. I think it's also relevant to talk about what Miami did. I think they signing Luol Deng today. I think Riley responded in a positive way to as brutal of a loss as he could have experienced. Getting Bosh back. Now he's got Bosh, Wade, Deng, that same cast.
They re-signed Chalmers too just now.
Rio.
I also think that it worked out pretty well for Chris Bosh. He kind of just went to Ghana, didn't say anything, kept quiet, ended up getting a humongous paycheck.
Another piece of this is, let's see, I think if you're Wade or you're Bosh, aren't you super motivated to try to show people that you're not just a secondary guy? I'm not sure it's possible, but if I'm Dwayne Wade, I'm really motivated next season to try to have another great year.
Yeah, you got 1 or 2 years to prove to people that you weren't, just a role player on these great teams.
I bet you they want to do that. I mean, Bosh's comments today said as much.
What are they, Zach? Like a middle-of-the-road playoff team?
Yeah, I see them as I don't see any reason they can't be like 4, 5, 6 in the East. And if you see who they're competing with.
Yeah, it's like you said, let's see what these guys are made of now. Let's see what Wade and Bosh are made of. Let's see what Riley's made of, putting a team together. Let's see what Spo's made of, without LeBron.
For all those guys that you just mentioned, it's a significant opportunity to reinvent how they are viewed. The way that Dwayne Wade was looked at, let's be honest, is a little unfair after the finals. Yes, he had a bad finals. People are acting like get him out of the league.
You were tough on him.
I was tough on him, but he's not like he's not a D-League guy.
No,
he
he's
can
not
play in the league.
But you did make the great point. Dwayne Wade's got a very easy job on this Heat team.
Didn't play
anymore.
back. Yeah,
not anymore.
He didn't play back-to-backs this year. So he's going to have to adjust himself to being a reliable superstar in the league again, which he's done before. We'll see if he can do it again.
Also, while we're talking about the NBA, I think this is going to be the most popular season ever, right? It's got to be the most highly anticipated.
That first game in Cleveland is going to be big appointment viewing stuff.
Really cool.
And I also think a great thing for the NBA is their 2 star players this year did 2 of the coolest things that I've seen in sports in a long time, with the LeBron essay and with the KD MVP speech. I think everybody just loves those 2 guys, and they're really great guys. And in sports, we haven't always seen that, The best players haven't always been the best guys, and I think these 2 guys are really great face for the league.
Loving the parallel to the KD speech.
They cross over. They cross over really well. I think that's when you talk about the speech, when you talk about the letter, it catches people who are not hardcore NBA junkies as authentic and personal. Both of those things did.
The only bad thing about this offseason is now we got to wait 4 months
for real basketball. And this has arguably been more fun.
But we got a big summer ahead of us.
Do we?
In the loop, sports-wise. We're going to be chopping up some different topics, right? I mean,
what are we going to chop up?
Oh, man.
What are we going to talk about, guys?
Let's
be serious.
I mean, we're not going radio silent. We'll be in here every week chopping it. The question
there
is
might be
what?
Episodes where nobody says anything for 15 or 20 minutes at a time.
Just pure silence.
Yeah, that's never been tried before, actually, on ESPN New York.
I think that would be nice. I think people
it's refreshing.
That. I mean, we got Gaston tonight. We got leftovers.
We got Bachelorette Fantasy Suite tomorrow night.
Oh, can we go to you for a little Bachelorette preview of tomorrow night, speaking of nothing to talk about?
Yeah,
I mean, you're really locked into this thing now.
I'm pretty locked into it. I didn't prepare actually a ton for The Bachelorette, so I don't know how ready I am to talk about it, but they are going to the Dominican Republic. I think they're all going to go on dates. There's 3 guys left, a farmer, Aaron Murray's brother, and this villain, Nick. And we'll see what happens. I mean, Andy's got an open mind, I think, about all 3 of them. We'll see which one of them wins her heart at the end of the day.
Doesn't it stop pretending like you don't know the spoilers. Doesn't that bother you a little bit that you already know who wins?
Well, it's a friend of mine's significant other divulged who won, and yeah, it bothers me, but at the same time, it's exciting. You see kind of how it plays itself.
You sound
out.
like you're.
I'd rather not know.
You sound a little angry towards the significant other of the friend. Are you?
I am.
So we're heading to the fantasy suite.
I think we're headed to the fantasy suite. This is my first time I've really gotten 100% on board, but I'm looking forward to it.
We've gone too much with this. All right,
yeah, a little too much.
Topics.
But it is kind of relevant. So the World Cup ends today. Big day for the Deutschland.
Huge day. I'm on my way to Munich after this.
I mean, big day for the Deutschland. So World Cup ends. NBA free agency, for all intents and purposes, donezo. Hope everyone is ready for the dog days of baseball August.
But Portland plays the Seattle team tonight, MLS. They were hyping that pretty hard during the World Cup game, so I'm psyched.
Yeah, also, my spin on the whole World Cup is the United States is 1 goal worse than the world champions, so
we won.
There you go. We pretty much won.
Wait, Z-Loop, do you have I saw Jurgen tweet today a picture of him holding up a Germany jersey. You got a little problem with that? Like, Jurgen, you're American now. I mean, I'm sorry you're from Germany, but you're ours.
I don't really bother. That doesn't bother me that much. I actually thought you were going to say I saw a picture of him when he played in 1994 and comment on how gorgeous he was, because I've been thinking about that all day.
He was.
Who, the German coach?
Do you have a problem with Jurgen holding up a Germany jersey today?
I think he secretly had to be he was probably upset about it. Because he got them, to the Final Four the last time, and this guy was his protege, and now he's bringing home
I don't think he's upset about it, dude. That's his country.
Yeah, it is his country.
It's not his country. If he chose to leave and he lives here, he is ours. So I don't want to hear that he's German anymore, because he's not.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So we have nothing. Like, that's the sad thing, is there's what's to look forward to. We got British Open next week, Tigers return. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
MLB All-Star Game.
Yeah, that's going to be, which is big. It's out in Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes.
And then after that, we're kind of just twiddling our thumbs until we draft fantasy football teams.
We'll be talking about that. I mean, 7 weeks till college football season starts. I mean,
7 weeks.
Cliff Kingsbury is always a nice topic. Coach of Texas Tech Red Raiders. Year-round topic.
That guy's good looking.
He has to become a friend of the podcast.
I know. If I could pick one guy to be a friend of the podcast,
Cliff Kingsbury.
It would probably be Cliff Kingsbury.
One guy to hang out with.
And then Seraphin.
One guy to hang out with for an hour.
On Twitter. Zach, one guy to be a friend of the podcast. If you could pick anyone that just was so locked into In the Loop, loved us, we're boys.
Does it have to be sports? It could be non-sports.
It could be anybody.
Definitely non-sports. So
Joe Biden.
Good choice.
A fabulous choice.
Easily.
Wow. How do I follow Joe Biden? I love the Kingsbury selection. Do you have someone in mind? Because this just came up, right now.
Yeah, no, let me think about this for a second. I think, huge star power would obviously be very good.
Like Hugh Jackman.
Nah, Jackman, he can sing, he can dance, he can act. But do I want him as a friend of the podcast? I think I'm taking Bieber.
You want Bieber as a friend of the podcast? I
kind of want Bieber just because at any given moment we could rise up and start a revolution in America.
I know who I want.
Wow.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah. That is beautiful.
Absolutely.
That is very good.
Yeah, I'll take Pierce Brosnan every day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Bond.
That is not fair.
That really makes my Bieber look
really bad.
Very bad.
Yeah, I mean, Pierce Brosnan is great, and we'd have to get the camera on him if he was going to come in here, though.
Yeah.
Because he's not a radio. Although, I mean, nothing against his voice.
No, it's beautiful.
The voice is enough.
But the guy's a 19.
Yeah, he's at 12.
He's aged fine, Vina.
Oh. He's quietly 74 years old.
He's not 74. You've tried to tell me that before. Hey, gorgeous Jay, can we get a Pierce Brosnan age check, please?
If he's not 74, he should be. All I'm saying.
Wait, so let me spin this positive because it really is going to get grim for sports fans.
It's
shortly.
just it's the dog days. I mean, there's going to be some baseball stuff to chop up,
and that's what I want. The World Cup haters out there. Okay, you got what you want. World Cup's over. Enjoy
MLS.
I don't know what you're going to watch. You got Fantasy Suite, you got MLS, and you got baseball, and that's pretty much it. John, hurry up. Wikipedia. Oh, check
Is it me, or has baseball been tougher this year than it usually is?
So much parity. Nobody's good. Nobody's bad.
Like I feel like I'm a baseball fan, and it's even tough for me. I can't imagine just like the regular fans who don't really care.
Hey, C-Loop, Pierce Brosnan is 61, not 74.
Well, when he's 74, he'll look like he's 35.
All right, Zach, we're entering one of the worst stretches in sports. What's your favorite
March
time
Madness.
of the sports calendar?
March Madness.
March Madness?
Because you also get March Madness, and then the Masters comes right up after that.
And opening day is also, like, in the same week.
Opening day. But that first 2 weeks of March Madness, when there's just constant games.
God, it is pure.
You're sitting on the couch. You got 7 TVs in there. You got Joe Biden with you. It's beautiful.
In theory, with
Imagine if we had Biden, Pierce Brosnan, and Bieber in here.
What about you? Now that I took the best one already.
Yeah, Chris, you can't pick the same one.
Okay, no, I wasn't going to.
Okay.
Well, I'm really excited for. Well, I love the NFL. I love to watch the Giants. The beginning of fall, NFL season, but also college football season. I'm probably the biggest college football fan in here because it also, I think, the 28th of August is this time around. It's like a Thursday night. That's when college football season starts. That's when you know that it's all starting to happen.
You're picking an exact day.
Yeah, 8:28. Like, let's just say things were getting a little slow the other day at work. I was Googling like what college football games I'm looking forward to. A&M at South Carolina, 6 p.m. the 28th. Not to be overly specific, but that'll be cool. And it's always great. I love when football season starts. That's
Road to August 28th.
RTA 28.
I think the period of time that kind of just happened with the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup, where you're pretty much getting a game every other night.
That revved your engines.
Ooh, boy, did I like that. But I'm going to take that January time when you got college football bowl games.
Yeah, post-holiday, too.
You got
maybe a little vacation for the boys.
You know, you're down at the Ocean Club in the Bahamas with
not
Brosnan.
To name names, but Brosnan's there with
Exactly. So you got college football major bowl games. You got NFL playoffs, which by themselves are just obviously everything and more. NBA regular season is going on. NHL regular season is going on. I don't really watch that, but I just thought I'd throw
Plus
it in.
Christmas with the family, you know.
Yeah, maybe get some nice presents.
Yeah.
Get yourself a Furby.
Yeah.
And
Xbox One.
Yeah, you're having a gorgeous winter.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Easter when we were all like 12, 14, and we got the PlayStation 2 and we dogpiled Salad?
Oof, we landed that PS2. Mom convinced us kind of that we weren't going to get it.
That was gorgeous.
Oh, we always got it.
She's perfect.
Mom, second shout out of the show. Just thank you.
Two for Mom, 0 for Dad so far.
You're perfect.
All right, wait. I got kind of a sketchy question coming in. That,
okay.
Coming in? Like
coming in
fans
right now.
Fans or Handsome John?
Fans.
You're the face of the podcast. Go ahead.
All right.
One movie sports character to lead your franchise and why. Alex, you first.
Wow.
Right now.
I'm taking Johnny Moxon, Varsity Blues. I don't want your life.
Billy Chappell for Love of the Game. Done.
He just dropped his pen.
I'm taking Footsteps Falco from Ohio State.
Wow.
Miles and miles of heart, and I'm praying that I got Gene Hackman as a coach, too.
The first 2 times I saw For Love of the Game, I thought Costner was playing himself. And then I realized it was actually a fictional story.
I think we can all agree that no actor has ever done more in sports movies than Costner.
Or captured the imagination of the country.
What do we have to do to get Costner on the podcast?
I got 2 other names. I mean, because right now, guys, as you can tell. By the way, shut it off if you're bored. But I got
shut it
Just shut it down. I mean, you're obviously, if you're still listening, what is going on in your day?
No, they're loving it. You're on board.
I'm sure they are, but what are you doing? There's got to be something you don't want to do.
Go home, look in the mirror, and wonder what is wrong with my life that I kept listening to.
Or go tell your boss that you're just not valuable to the company because you just listened to 3 random Lupicas chop it up for 40 minutes.
Because you are not.
So 2 other guys I'd love to have as friend of the podcast. McConaughey would be terrific.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I feel like he's
all
too
right.
big time for us now, though.
Yeah,
I guess I picked Joe Biden as the vice president.
We have a better chance to get Brosnan in here. I would say Brosnan probably best chance. Biden's going to be the toughest to get in here. Security and everything.
I feel like sketchily he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like, I think we could get Biden.
As long as he doesn't have to go to, LaGuardia, which he doesn't like. The airport? At all. And then George Feeney, the actor who plays George Feeney from Boy Meets World, I'd love to have in here.
That would be beautiful.
That would be. Feeney, if you're listening,
get in here.
Just get up to 65th and West End Avenue and chop it up with us.
Have you noticed that guy's looked the exact same for, like, the better part of the last half
73.
century?
Like, you say Brosnan 73.
No, he's older than that. I was looking at it, like, a couple weeks ago.
All right, we got to shut it down.
All right, anyway, so that's enough.
We got to shut it down. Clearly, we all have a really weird case of the Sunday Scaries.
Next week's going to be even weirder.
Yeah, it's going to get
if
weird.
If you thought this one was weird, tune in next week.
It's going to get weird. Thanks for hanging with us. See you next week.